Donald Trump made a public statement recently that he didn't want a federal ban on abortion. Now, this TV show here, Flashpoint, is Trump Central. They'll do anything for the dude. And these guys do want a federal ban on abortion. So I figured we'd give this a listen and see how they reacted to Donald Trump saying he doesn't want a federal ban. It gets fascinating. This is not part one. If you didn't see the other, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I'll give context if it's missing. Let's listen to how these Trump panderers play mental gymnastics to get around the problems that Trump just created for them.
Jason, let's go to Kari Lake. Let me show you her statement. She released a statement on the Arizona Supreme Court. She says, in addition to covering the state of Arizona as fair and honest journalist for 27 years, I've traveled to every corner of the state on the campaign trail. I speak to more Arizonans than anyone, abundantly clear that the
Oh, wow. Look at this. So she's given a list of things that she will oppose and fight for as senator. And here's the list. As the senator, Kari Lake will oppose a federal funding for abortion. Okay, there is no federal funding for abortion. Like what? Federal bans on abortion. That one is interesting. That's exactly what Lance Wallnau said. So Kari Lake is doing what's beneficial for the Republican Party rather than the evangelical pro-life movement or whatever. That is really interesting to me. Okay.
Pre-statehood law.
Oh, yeah, and she says, I will fight for baby bonuses? The earned income tax credit? Is that like the child tax credit? Is that what she's talking about? Usually Republicans oppose that. Making adoption more accessible and affordable. They also oppose that generally, Republicans do, because that means that, when people say make abortion more accessible, usually we're talking about like making it possible for gay people to adopt if they choose. Of course, Kari Lake doesn't stand for that. She does not want gay couples to adopt. Strengthening the economy so that mothers can afford a baby. Okay, well, that's specific. Thank you so much for the specific explanation. Wow, if I knew that all we had to do is strengthen the economy. See, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I think of that? We should have just strengthened the economy. I got to pull it together, man. I'm losing it. I can't believe that didn't even occur to me. Thank you, Kari Lake, for the really good idea. I'm stealing that idea. Yeah, we need to strengthen the economy. She wants to protect IVF also. That is a surprise because the pro-life movement, quote unquote, as it's called, the anti-abortion movement, really what I should be calling it. The anti-abortion movement is against IVF, in vitro fertilization. With IVF, the idea is you take a bunch of egg cells from the mother and you take the sperm cells and you put them together in a petri dish, or as Marjorie Taylor Greene says, a peach tree, Peachtree, peach tree dish. You put them together, you mix them, and you end up with, 15 fertilized eggs, basically. It's called an embryo. And it's literally like 2 cells, maybe 1 cell. Maybe it becomes 1 cell at that point. I'm not sure.
The state on the campaign trail, I speak to more Arizonans than anyone, abundantly clear that the pre-statehood law is out of step with Arizonans. I'm the only woman and the mother in this race.
Like that. Like that has ever mattered to Republicans. Like they've ever given a shit about that. Suddenly, she likes to mention that she's part of a minority group. How convenient is that, huh? She is shameless, dude. There is no principle to be found with these people. None.
Understand the fear and anxiety of pregnancy and the joy of motherhood. I wholeheartedly agree with President Trump. It's a very personal issue that should be determined by each individual state and her people. I oppose today's ruling and calling out Katie Hobbs and the state legislature to come up with an immediate common sense solution that Arizonans can support.
So if you don't know Kari Lake, she's famous for having challenged the results of the election, claimed, I think in 2022, she ran for governor against Katie Hobbs and she lost. And she did exactly what Trump did. She claimed that she didn't really lose, that it was a lie, that she had it taken from her, and that she's challenging it in court and blah, 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 blah. The whole thing. It was all made up, of course, but she wouldn't let it go. She insisted that she won and she was the rightful governor. And Like, it's just like absurd, completely absurd. So anyway, she did a whole bunch of court challenges, and the court challenges did not work. They failed miserably, of course. I'm surprised that she's calling on Katie Hobbs to do anything at all, because I didn't think that she recognized her as like the legitimate governor. I mean, I imagine she doesn't. It's like Donald Trump recognizing Biden as the legitimate president. Like, it's surprising when it happens, you know? All right, so I was looking for this dragon. Now I've found him. I'm going to continue on with my quest for the fairies.
Ultimately, Arizona voters will make
Step back. Listen to what she said about it.
today's ruling and calling out Katie Hobbs and the state legislature to come up with an immediate common sense solution that Arizonans can support. Ultimately, Arizona voters will make the decision on the ballot come November. Rick, this is indeed the case.
It's fascinating to me that Kari Lake, of all people, is in favor of seemingly people making the decision come November, or I'm sorry, on the ballot. That does not end well for Republicans.
Will make the decision on the ballot come November. Rick, this is indeed the case when we see, you know, we like to say all the time about elections have consequences, but this is another example. That's exactly what happened.
What, consequences? The consequences of an election led to what? I don't understand. That's a really weird thing for him to say in that context.
Yeah, no doubt. And even Gene, that the tweet that you shared a few minutes ago about the 210 Democrats voting that way, about literally leaving a baby on the table to die, you know, that's the...
Dude, like, what? What the hell are they talking about? Leaving a baby on a table to die? This is just propagandistic garbage, right?
Legacy of Barack Obama. Talk about elections having consequences. He voted twice in the Illinois Senate back when he was a state senator to do that exact same thing, leave the baby on the table. And the stories are horrific when you hear.
See, this is propaganda right here. This is how propaganda works. They are taking some anecdote and blowing it up into something that it's not, and turning it into like this big horrific thing, and making it out as though like Democrats want this to happen. Democrats they're trying to kill babies. They want babies dead. Like, guys, please. This is insane.
Hear about how they do that. It's awful. And so he came into office as president with that kind of background. And everybody keeps talking about the heart change. It is absolutely true. The opposite is true as well. They changed the hearts of the Democrat Party, where that was a minority opinion in the Democrat Party that you would let it.
No, it wasn't. It was never a minority opinion that abortion shouldn't exist or shouldn't be available or whatever, or that people should not be pro-choice. It was never, being pro-choice is never a minority opinion, ever. If you believe that, then you live in a fantasy land. Of course, we know that about this guy, so that's not really a surprise as opposed to anybody, is it?
A baby die on the table like that, to now you see the full...
Like, I have no idea what Kool-Aid this guy's drunk, but this is not happening, and nobody ever stood for a baby dying on a table. Like, what?
Everybody keeps talking about the heart change. It is absolutely true. The opposite is true as well. They changed the hearts of the Democrat Party, where that was a minority opinion in the Democrat Party, that you would let a baby die on the table like that, to now...
like, he's obviously listened to some story, right? He's listened to some ridiculous anecdote that he assumes everyone else has already heard also, because they're in this weird little Republican extremist echo chamber when they're watching the Victory Channel. If they're watching Flashpoint, they've probably heard this insane, unrealistic, ridiculous story about how Democrats want babies to die or some other nonsense.
Now you see the full congressional delegation of the Democrats voting to say, let's let that baby die. But that's part of the legacy of Barack Obama, meaning part of the legacy of that election and those elections having consequences. I think you're hearing a much more rational voice, though divided in the Republican Party. Obviously, a lot of us pro-life and would like to see it absolutely abortion outlawed with all exceptions. And then you've got some like Trump.
Well, zero exceptions in abortion cases. No abortion under any circumstances. That's insane. I'm sure I don't need to like draw a picture of why we need exceptions, right? I don't need to draw that picture. We live in a country of 330 million people. In a country that large, it is a virtual guarantee that we're going to see the most horrific, messed up stuff imaginable. I'm talking cases of rape and incest. People might think that that's super uncommon. People might think that that's like a 1 in a million thing. Maybe it is, but guess what? There are 330 million people in this country. A 1 in a million event happens 330 times every single day in this country, on average. Obviously, a little more complicated than that. But the point is, it's not that rare. This stuff isn't rare. It's not uncommon. It's actually very common to have cases of rape and incest and to have cases where the life of the mother is in deep danger. Like, the mom's going to die if she has the kid. That's extremely common. All right, let me rephrase. That's common in a country this large. And this guy just wants those people to die. Or a 10-year-old being pregnant. That 10-year-old did not consent. It's impossible for a 10-year-old to consent. Even if a 10-year-old did consent, they have no idea what they're signing up for. It's impossible for a 10-year-old to consent. And you want that 10-year-old to have this kid. Are you kidding? What is wrong with you? That's as far as I'm going to draw out the problems that exist. I don't need to draw them out. I don't need to talk about a dead baby on a table or whatever other nonsense they're talking about. Nobody wants that. Everyone wants to stop that from happening, that dead baby on a table thing. Everyone is against that, and we'll do whatever we can to prevent it. But this guy here, Rick Green, it seems to be in favor of 0 exceptions for abortion. That means he wants a dead 10-year-old on a table, in all seriousness.
Trump and Kari Lake and others that want to leave those very rare exceptions, which, let's remember, that's less than 1% of the abortions that take place.
Great. You know what 1% is in a country of 330 million? I'm sorry, I said 330 people. That was my mistake. No, that's wrong. It's 330,000 people, isn't it? Is that right? 330,000? I'm sorry, it's 3.3 million. 1% is 3.3 million. So this happens 3.3 million times, let's say, per year. 1% of the country, I guess. Is he saying 1% of the country or 1% of abortions? I suppose he could be saying 1% of abortions. Even so, even if it is 1% of abortions, that's still a whole heck of a heap of people. More than it should be. I don't care if it's 1%.
I'm with Ronald Reagan. I'll take half a loaf. Let's get as much as we can today. Let's outlaw 99% of abortions, and then we can fight over that 1%. And that's why the fights at the state level are so important. So I'm not going to dismiss Kari Lake because I disagree with her on that 1%. She's the best chance for Arizona to have a good U.S. senator in the U.S. Senate. And
You know what? I wonder how many abortions in 2022, because that was before it was overturned, right? Or let's do 2021. No, let's do 2019. See if we can get the 2019 statistics. There were 625,000 abortions in 2019, it appears. 625,346 times 0.01. That's 6,000 people, okay? 6,000 people per year are dying. Sure, 1%, yeah, great, fine. I don't even know if that's correct. But 1%, 6,000 people per year are losing their lives or are in, they fall into these exceptions that this guy refuses to account for. It's just disgusting. Like, what's wrong with you?
certainly not going to dismiss Donald Trump because I disagree with him on that 1%. He's absolutely our best chance at getting the 99% of abortions outlawed in, if not most, but if not all, most of the states in America.
That's true. In fact, what are you going to do? Vote for the other guy?
Right.
I mean,
or not vote at all. But yeah, I mean, evangelicals are going to vote for Trump. That's just what it is.
What's your choice? But Lance, I want to give you. I know I always change the subject, but
everybody just disagreed with Lance Wallnau just now. I love it.
I want to give you the opportunity to speak to the 210 Democrat vote to leave babies on the table.
Oh, they're not even asking him about how everyone just disagreed with him.
I heard an interesting quote from Kellyanne Conway last week. She said,
"No, you didn't. None of her quotes are interesting.
The problem...
some are psychotic. None of them are thought-provoking or interesting by any stretch of the imagination."
Interesting quote from Kellyanne Conway last week. She said the problem with our movement isn't information overload, it's opinion overload and information deficit. We're not really good at articulating.
Okay, yeah, actually, I agree with that. That is thought-provoking. That's an interesting thing to hear from Kellyanne Conway. I mean, she's wrong about who has opinions and who has facts, but sure, I'll accept that.
An information deficit. We're not really good at articulating stories and arguments that persuade the people that can be persuaded. So I'm going to share with our audience one thing that I didn't know that she said. Scientists have discovered that the baby in the womb, the child, at 15 weeks is capable of experiencing pain.
Nonsense. This is propagandistic garbage. This is all anti-abortion bullshit, what he's saying here.
And responding to it. That means that from the 15-week point onward, you're inflicting pain.
No, it's false. Dude is just fabricating this. He's lying.
Agony and destruction into another person's life. If we can get people to understand that there's a point at which it's unthinkable to be treating another human being.
So he's saying, so he just quoted Kellyanne Conway, said, we have opinion overload and fact deficit, basically, something to that effect, right? And now he says, if we can propagandize and give our opinion enough, then we can convince people to do this, to do what we want or whatever. Insane.
With indifference, especially knowing that at 15 weeks, the baby can feel what you're doing to it.
It's not a baby, and no, it can't. Even assuming that it was a baby, no. The structures necessary to experience anything, experience pain or thought or whatever, are not present at that point in time.
That does change the cognitive process for someone that maybe isn't a Christian, maybe doesn't agree with all of our theology.
I mean, there you go. Now, see, he's saying we need more opinion. He just quoted someone that said we need more fact and said we need more opinion. That's just great. Aside from all of that, I do want to point out that all of this is completely irrelevant in the face of bodily autonomy. I don't care if people... God, I need something that floats here. I forgot that I needed... What floats? Is there something that floats? I think that maybe the sleds float. I don't care about anything that Lance Wallnau is saying right now. People have the right to bodily autonomy, period. If you get in a car accident and end up in the hospital and just some random person is hooked up to you taking a blood transfusion, they didn't ask you, you were unconscious when they did it, they decided to hook you up to this person without your permission. You have every right to disconnect, and you're not responsible for that. That's not on you. They didn't have a right to connect in the first place. That person didn't. Now, here they are connected. Okay, fine. You have a right to disconnect if you choose. That's effectively what's happening with abortion, right? We have somebody who is, let's just assume the worst and say that from the moment of conception, it's a fully formed human being. We have a fully formed human being connected to you against your will. You have the right to say no to that. Doesn't matter. None of this matters. Like, nothing that he's saying right now matters. It's completely irrelevant to the subject. Anyway, Lance Wallnau is a propagandist first and foremost. Before anything, he's a propagandist. So it would surprise me if I heard anything other than what he's saying here, honestly.
But they can relate to that piece of science.
Now, with all that being said, I will put this on record. I think that at a certain point, it's bad. I don't want abortions beyond, say, 20 weeks. That's, I would prefer that not happen. 25 weeks is viability. Could live outside of the womb without the mother. So we'll step 5 weeks back, say 20 weeks is kind of the limit, right? For me. But even without that bright line that I drew, it's still wrong to force somebody to do something against their will like that. These people don't seem to understand the concept of bodily autonomy, of my right to do what I want with my body, whether you like that or not.
It's, Dutch, I haven't got you. I want to get your opinion, your way in here. I mean, this is horrible, and I have.
It's fascinating. I guess that Lance decided it was a bad idea to respond negatively to everybody on this show. That's really interesting, actually.
Having a hard time understanding why 210 liberals would vote that way.
Oh my God. I have no idea what they're talking about, but this is absolutely made up. It was from Fox News. Nobody wants a baby to die on a table, whatever the hell that means, or whatever they're talking about.
I mean, I can't even come up with a good reason, any reason to leave life on the table.
I mean, it's fabricated.
The only explanation I can come up with, Gene, is that the script
is that it's made up. Is that you made that up to come out with, to create propaganda against our political enemies.
The only explanation I can come up with, Gene, is that the scriptures do teach us that when we harden our hearts and when we silence our conscience, we turn away from God and rebel from his ways, that we do move farther and farther away, just like Pharaoh. And it comes a point when that heart is so hardened, God can no longer reach it.
Well, God is the one that hardened Pharaoh's heart in the first place, for the record. So just want to put that one out there. God is the one that, encouraged Pharaoh to, hate other people or to hate the Jews or whatever, so that, he would die, or so that his chariots would die, or so, I don't know, whatever. I don't even remember the story now. It was it was God's fault. That whole situation was God's fault.
I'm not saying that's true with all these people. I'm just saying that progression takes place. And that's how one gets to a reprobate mind. There is no way to explain in the realm of sanity whatsoever a person that will allow a baby to be born and lay on a table and die.
Again, no clue what they're talking about. I don't even want to look it up because it's nonsensical garbage, and it's going to be graphic because that's how these people operate. They like to make things as graphic as they can, and I don't need all that. No, thank you. It's graphic nonsense. If it was graphic and real, that'd be another situation, but it's graphic garbage. Like the claim that Planned Parenthood is selling body parts of babies, that was false. No, they're not. It's just a straight up blatant lie. That was the result of some propagandistic nonsense. This dude went undercover at Planned Parenthood and, got one of the people to admit to the fact that the person that they're shipping materials off to, or whatever it happens to be, like universities or whatever, researchers, they're paying for shipping. They're paying for somebody to drive stuff over. Oh, that's paying for used body parts or whatever. Like, what? Get a grip on reality, people.
That is insane. That is inhumane. That is unconscionable. But you can get to that point when you harden your heart and turn your mind into such a place of rebellion, sin takes over, and then you give way to demons. And I don't think there's any other way to explain it other than it's a demonic thing and it's a reprobate mind. And I think we need to pray for these people again. Only God can revive that kind of heart, and you'll never change it through logic. You just won't. No. It will take a regeneration.
Amen.
Amen, he says.
All right, I'm going to play this clip from Jesse Waters. Let's.
Oh God, Jesse Waters.
Change topics here, because this all relates back to an election, and what's happening with the Biden administration is there's a lot of spin going on. In fact, maybe it's not spin.
The Biden administration creating spin? Oh, okay. I thought it was these people creating spin. My mistake. Now I know it was Biden creating spin.
And maybe it's actually a mirage. Watch.
The entire Biden administration's a mirage. We're paying more for everything, but they tell us inflation's down.
Inflation is down.
They tell us.
And are we paying more for everything? I don't know about that. I mean, inflation is down relative to wage growth. So the nature of our economy is one where things get more expensive and people make more money. That's called growth in an economy. He's describing an economy growing. He's complaining about economy growth right now, really.
The economy's great, but the jobs go to migrants.
They tell us the economy is great, but the jobs go to migrants. What? What are you talking about?
Flying migrants straight into our airports so they can tell us border crossings are down. And now they say there's no crime wave.
Oh my God, dude. Okay. This is insane. This is absolute insanity. Let me tell you something about immigration in the United States. Immigration, the majority, I think, of undocumented immigrants are coming into the country legally and overstaying their visas, and they're flying in a lot of the time. They're just flying in legally, overstaying visas. And I guess he's acknowledging that by saying, now Biden has started flying them in so that border crossings are down. This is insane.
But do you feel safe? So if crime's everywhere, why do they say crime's down?
A new report from the FBI shows that there was a 13% decline in murder.
Despite what the data shows, which we've been talking about, the fact that crime is going down in most places is...
Yeah, crime's going down. Let me tell you something about New York City. Everybody thinks New York City is like a super dangerous hellscape. No, I live in New York City. In fact, I live in Manhattan. My kid today decided to leave Manhattan on her own with two friends of a similar age and go to Flushing, Queens. Another borough, going to hang out, and she's perfectly safe. I don't even worry about, like, her well-being or anything. I think everything is going to be perfectly fine. New York City is a 100% safe city. There's nothing dangerous about it. But these people have to make it out as though it's a hellscape that you can't, like, wade through because there's so much crime. You know, you set foot on the street and next thing you know, you're being held up at gunpoint. No, that's not how this works. This is not how it's ever worked. These people, you know, Jesse Waters has to know that, right? He has to know. He lives in New York City, although I guess he doesn't often, like, go out on the street, probably. So there's that.
not registering with the public.
I can safely walk my dog to the Capitol today in a way that you couldn't do when we all got here.
I'm glad Pete can walk his dog, but why should we believe the FBI? Well,
what are you talking about? Believe the FBI?
It turns out we shouldn't.
Oh, I guess he's saying we shouldn't believe the statistics, the crime statistics. Is that what he's saying?
The Washington Examiner did some digging and discovered the FBI's been cooking the books.
What? Really? Who said that?
Washington Examiner did some digging.
The Washington Examiner, yeah, because they're super trustworthy. Now, I'll tell you this. I live in New York City. It's perfectly safe, 100% safe. I've never been mugged. I've never felt unsafe under any circumstances. This is the biggest city in the country, I think, right? I've never felt unsafe here. Get a grip on reality, please.
And discovered the FBI's been cooking the books. Did you know about half the country doesn't send their crime statistics to the FBI? So the FBI...
I mean, that's almost certainly completely fabricated. I have no idea what's true and what isn't with these people on Fox News. So don't believe anything by default, okay?
Just estimates the number of crimes, and then they estimate in the wrong direction. Murders are actually up 23% across 70 cities since 20.
And where did you get that information? You pulling that from your ass? Look, oh, the Washington Examiner claimed it. Okay, that's where he got that. Now, the Washington Examiner is a propaganda network. It's not a news network. He's not getting this from news. AP News, Reuters, let's see, BBC America, Independent to some degree. Those are news networks that are about as unbiased as you're going to get. They're pretty trustworthy by and large. Now, the Washington Examiner is where he's getting his news, really? That is an absolutely psychotic place to get it. What is wrong with him? This is the bottom line. He's a propagandist. It's all about creating propaganda.
2019. In Milwaukee, the FBI reported a 13% drop in robberies. But Milwaukee police reported a 7% increase. The Biden administration.
Yeah, I don't know what he's saying. If any of I'm gonna guess this isn't true because he's lied to me consistently at every turn. Everything out of his mouth that I've heard up to this point that I fact checked has been a lie. All of the bullshit that he spews has been a lie so far. So, sorry, hard doubt.
Using Enron-style accounting to cook the books on everything from crime to the border to the economy.
Biden's using Enron-style accounting. If you guys don't remember Enron, it's famously a case of like fraud. Like they defrauded a bunch of people. Enron was this hot stock that was doing really well, and it turned out they were just lying to their investors and everything, and it fell apart and went bankrupt. So he's saying that the Biden administration is falsifying data fraudulently. That's the claim right now.
And then the media reporters, they just regurgitate the propaganda and they wonder why the country's soured. We don't trust them, and Trump's
You listening to this?
winning.
All right.
It's like there's no irony to be like this guy doesn't seem to understand irony or principle at all. That is literally what these people do on Fox News. That is literally what he is doing right now, what he just described.
Accounting to cook the books on everything from crime to the border to the economy. And then the media reporters, they just regurgitate the propaganda and they wonder why the country's soured. We don't trust them, and Trump's winning.
I mean, the Washington Examiner is propaganda. As KJ Dog Love said, propaganda tantamount to the Inquirer. You know, I used to go to the grocery store with my mom when I was little and was standing in line, and next to like the register, I'd see this magazine with a picture of like Bat Boy who lived in a cave until he was 12. And it turns out that Hillary Clinton has been housing Bat Boy since he was little in her cave of evilness or whatever the hell. It was almost satirical in how ridiculous it is. I think the Inquirer, the National Enquirer, might have been satirical with a lot of that stuff. That specific thing might have been satirical. But at this point, I can't tell the difference between satire and propaganda. It all blends together. The Washington Examiner is effectively no different than the Inquirer. It's all the same nonsensical garbage. Pretty sure the National Enquirer is a far-right magazine now, right?
All right, so we don't trust them in Trump's winning. That's exactly what's happening, Pastor Hank. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know what? Again, I don't understand how anyone cannot see it in the United States of America, the spin, the lies, and the fact that the Democratic Party is the party of no religious affiliation. Well, they affiliate.
No. The Democratic Party has lots of Christians in it. Biden is a staunch Catholic, hard Catholic. So I don't even know what he's talking about.
The Democratic Party is the party of no religious affiliation. Well, they affiliate with the devil, who's the father of lies. And it's very obvious. You know, you look at all the things that they tried to push on President Trump, the fake dossier, Russia collusion, and the list goes on and on and on. And these.
No, Russia collusion, that actually happened. He did collude with Russia. Donald Trump did. It's just that collusion, quote unquote, is not a crime. The investigation into Donald Trump's Russian collusion, though, turned up a whole bunch of people as guilty of colluding with Russia on Donald Trump's behalf. There are people sitting in jail today for colluding on Trump's behalf. There's 100% Russian collusion. And this dossier thing, this was Hillary Clinton's opposition research against Donald Trump. It may have been true, may not have been true. I don't use political candidates' opposition research as my barometer of truth. Jesus Christ, dude. The dossier, by the way, if you don't remember, is this thing. It was a document that claimed that Donald Trump, that Putin had a tape of Donald Trump hiring prostitutes to piss on a bed or something. I don't even remember. He went to Russia and he hired people to piss on a bed that Obama slept in, or I don't have any clue. I paid absolutely no attention to it because it wasn't real political commentary. It was oppositional research from a political candidate. Nobody should have been taking that stuff 100% seriously. There should have been skepticism from everybody. And there was. I don't know a single person that believed the quote-unquote dossier uncritically.
These ridiculous, court cases that are going on. They're also trying to tell the American people that something is a certain way, and yet America, they're going, wait a minute, but that's not what it's like in my neighborhood. It's not what it's like in my pocketbook. Reality is set in to the American people, and no matter
reality is set in.
How much the fake news wants to keep their narrative going, it's falling apart. And the Bible says if you dig a pit, you're going to fall into it. And the Democratic Party, through their lying, has dug a pit, and they're falling into it. And there's something greater that's happening. There's a countering by the Spirit of truth, the Spirit of God himself. And he's involved in our country. He's waking it up, and he's bringing the truth and the reality. And you're going to see it as more and more exposures begin to happen in our country. That's going to shed light on the gross lying and corruption that has taken place. And it's going to set our country free.
Totally. And this is a message from God, right? Because Hank Kunneman speaks on God's behalf as a prophet, right?
Well, and part of that revealing is them turning on their own and really showing who they really are. We've seen that more than ever before. Let me show you Pete Buttigieg, Lance. Look at this. The wrecked economy, it's all the right wing's fault. Watch.
I think it's important to recognize where people are at, too. The country's been through a lot. Families have been through a lot. And just because...
Well, yeah, COVID just happened. Absolutely, the country's been through a lot.
The number on a page looks good doesn't mean people can feel it. Anybody who's been in a relationship knows that if somebody's not feeling great, the first thing you say to them is not, you should be feeling better than you are, right? Stop not feeling it. So, look, we've been through a lot as a country. Having said that, we're also achieving a lot as a country. And while there is a very well-funded noise machine trying to poke holes in those achievements, trying to talk down the economy and all the things America has done, I think it reflects well on the president that the American people, under his leadership, and the American economy under his leadership, have added so many jobs, including, importantly, in areas like manufacturing.
Damn. Maybe I should have another fan. Or, I'm sorry, maybe I should have one fewer fan. Maybe I should move the wagon to the other side. Let me try this again.
Okay. All right. So before you comment, Lance, look at this. Buttigieg blames Biden's bad approval on the well-funded noise machine, trying to talk down the economy.
Yeah, that obviously. And these people are part of the noise machine, trying to talk down everything.
Under Biden, these are the facts. Gas is up 51%.
I mean, these people are, they're literally doing it now. They're doing it. They're doing exactly what Buttigieg described. This is like satirical at this point, right? This is like a joke. I can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference between satire and like real belief at this point.
Prices are up 18.6%. Real average weekly earnings are down 4.2%. Up.
Like, where are you getting these numbers? What do these numbers cover? Is it for the last year? Is it for the last week, the last month? Why are you choosing those metrics? This is called P hacking, by the way. When somebody changes a graph to be more representative of what they want to believe about reality. That's P hacking. Like, for example, let me show you an example of P hacking. Okay, Dow Jones is an industrial average, basically, that tells us roughly how the stock market is doing. It covers, I think, 500 different companies in a range of different industries. Computers and, technology and manufacturing and things like that. And it trends upwards. It always trends upwards. That's just how it works. But if you look here, it's down 1.2%. Why is the Dow Jones down 1.2%? That's scary, huh? Wow. If you just click 5 days, wow, still down 2.5% over the past 5 days. 1 month, oh no, it's down 1% over the past month. 6 months, now it's up 13.8%. How about that? Year to date, it's up 1.8%. The past 1 year, it's up 14%. The past 5 years, it's up 45%. And hell, since the beginning of the Dow Jones, it's up 3,200%. I can pick any of these anywhere along the line and claim that the economy is better or worse. If I want to claim the economy is worse, I'll pick the 5-day one. The Dow Jones is down by 2.5%. If I want to portray it as better, I'll do 6 months. The Dow Jones is up 13.8%. P-hacking. That's what the people on Flashpoint were just doing. They didn't give us the metrics. Are you talking about the same time frame? He says gas is up 51%. From when? Prices are up 18.6%. What's the time frame? Are you talking about the same time frame? Real average weekly earnings? What are real average weekly earnings versus fake average weekly earnings? Why are we doing average weekly earnings rather than yearly earnings or whatever? I don't know if this was p-hacked to hell, but I would bet money that it was. I don't know if it was or not because I don't know where they even got the data. They don't list where they got the data. That is what makes this propaganda.
Gas is up 51%. Prices are up 18.6%. Real average weekly earnings are down 4.2%, up 8.2% under Trump, and 0 new manufacturing jobs were added in March. Those are the facts, Lance.
Wow, 0 new manufacturing jobs were added in March. It's bad, guys. Getting bad out there. Why did they pick March? Why didn't they pick February or January or whatever? They are p-hacking. That's what is happening right now. They're p-hacking the graphs to make it look worse for Biden than it actually is, while complaining about somebody else doing p-hacking that they're not actually doing. This is insane.
They're going to have a hard time selling this to the American people.
Not only that, I'm sorry, but Pete Buttigieg is just so dumb. The fact of the matter is you have $6 trillion this year of new debt. That's Republican.
Okay, and I don't think that's true. Maybe. But all right, let's assume it is true, hypothetically. And how much debt was added under Donald Trump? On average, how much debt is added under Republican presidents as opposed to under Democratic presidents? Is the deficit down? Because the debt is a long-term amount that is owed to us, by the way. We owe it to ourselves, not to China, not to Saudi Arabia. By and large, it's owed to us. Owed to ourselves. The Federal Reserve, or the is it the Fed? Yeah, the Federal Reserve. They print money, and they printed, the $6 trillion or whatever, and loaned it to the U.S. government. They could just give it to the U.S. government, but they loaned it instead of giving it to the U.S. government because it'll be beneficial. It has a lower chance of raising inflation if it's a loan. Anyway, the point is, these people are just lying. Everything out of their mouths is a lie. How can they expect us to trust anything that they say? Anything. When half the shit they say is just blatant, blatant, flat out falsehood.
Republicans and Democrats have gone ahead and approved.
Oh, and by the way, the reason that debt is up in the first place is because Republicans lower taxes every single time they get. Wait, what the hell just happened? That was weird. I think I hit a glitchy spot in the game. Anyway, Republicans lower taxes on the rich every single time they get into office. Why are they lowering taxes on the rich?
Spending that is $6 trillion more than we can afford this year. They are trying to sink the economy. It's
I don't even know if that's true, but whatever.
The only thing I can think of, why would they do that? And when you talk about quoting statistics, this is how manipulative and deceptive they are. Where you have an increase in employment, it's in part-time jobs. Full-time jobs have lost position. Part-time jobs have been raised because families are having to get an extra job to pay for the bills.
I don't know if this is considered p-hacking, but in spirit, it's p-hacking, right? He's picking out different statistics that are more beneficial to him, seemingly at random. He's just yep, I'll take this one, I'll take that one, I'll take that one. and throw the rest out. Pretend it's not happening. I don't know, like hundreds of thousands of jobs were added in March, I think. That's a good thing. That's a good statistic. That's great. We track jobs month to month. We track how many jobs are added to the economy month to month. So saying that 100,000 jobs are added in March, for example, isn't unusual. It's not p-hacking. That's just, part of our standard metrics that we use. What metrics are you using exactly?
So they take the part-time job surge as a sign that employment's up. Employment aggregately is down.
And where are you getting this? Aggregately is down? Over when? Like what time period?
People are having to get another job to pay for bills. There's a verse in Romans which goes right to the heart of what we cover every week. Paul says that the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of them who suppress the truth in unrighteousness, which you see here with Jen Psaki, of all people.
Her name is Jen Psaki. He's calling her Jen Psaki. Is he for real, or is this a joke? I honestly cannot tell anymore if this is real or satire.
Interviewing Pete Buttigieg, who both make a living by being the seals that clap for the Democrat Party. These people have to suppress what they know on purpose in order to promote their own position, power, and privilege. But the American people are inevitably going to feel it.
Yeah, they definitely feel it.
Yeah, the perception of the economy is that it's really bad right now, even though by all standard metrics, it's really good. Presidents usually get elected when an economy looks the way that the economy looks right now under Biden. That being said, the economy, it's been bad for like decades at this point in the way I'm about to describe. People are, 70, 80, 90% of people or something are one $600 emergency away from complete financial ruin, something to that effect. Those numbers are wrong, but it's somewhere in that vicinity. That should tell you something. The economy has been bad like that for a long, long time, for 40, 50 years at least. Hasn't been good since the boomers. And these people, boomers, are complaining that, millennials are not doing their job, they're not doing better than they are, or whatever other thing, when they benefited from a good economy and then closed the door behind them, basically.
Since you brought that,
so I just want to I want to make note here. Yeah, the economy is bad in a lot of ways, but it's better than but it's better than it has been in a long, long time. So that's something.
Yeah, they definitely feel it. Since you brought that up, let me show you this clip, because if we're going to get rid of debts, let's just go ahead and Kamala says we should go ahead and cancel a lot of student loans.
Yeah, I love it. I'm not actually, here's the thing. Student loans, I would love to see student loans canceled. I want that to happen. However, I would really like it if student debt didn't exist the same way that it does. I'd like it a lot more if the entire debt system was restructured, or the going to college and the cost accrued was different than it is. I would like to see that more than anything. So yeah, great. Cancel student debt. I want that. That's good. I want to completely reorder how universities' debts operate.
Your loans will be completely forgiven, regardless of your income, and even if you did not graduate. So I'm going to repeat that. If you've paid undergraduate loans for more than 20 years or graduate loans for more than 25 years, those loans will be completely forgiven, regardless of your income, and even if you did not graduate. And forgiveness will be automatic for the vast majority of the 25 million people that we believe will benefit from this approach.
That's fantastic. I love everything about it. Fix the system in the first place. Make it so that college costs exactly, proportionally, what it cost in 1970. Proportionate to the median salary. I think college cost 4%. So if the median salary today is $55,000 a year, which I don't even think it's that high, but we'll say 50,000 for a nice round number, and say college debt would cost 5% of that. What is that? That's $2,500 for 4 years, right? You could make that and pay your way through college as a waiter. That's what we need. That's what I want to see. We need that type of situation. But do you have any idea how much it costs, not just for 4 years, but for 1 year for my wife to go to law school? Yeah, law school costs a lot more than usual. All off of student loans, of course. I think it's $72,000 a year. $72,000, as opposed to the $2,500 for 4 years that it should cost. That's insane. By the end of this whole thing, when my wife is done, I think she's going to have $400,000 in student loans. Holy shit, dude. That's crazy. Nobody should ever have that much. I mean, I worry about it a little bit less than the average bear because, A, my wife's graduated. She's going to have graduated law school. She's going to be able to pay for student loans that high, hopefully, eventually. And B, I don't pay for things that I don't feel I should have to pay for. So if somebody gives me student loans and I don't think that it's a just system that, that I should be working under, I'm just not going to pay those loans back. That's bit me in the ass. It's a bad way to operate. But in the past, that's how I have worked, If I don't think I should pay, if I don't think I should have to pay student loans, I'm just not going to pay them. Again, probably don't do that yourself. Probably not super great, but if nothing else, there's that. I got that in the back pocket, So anyway. Oh my God, dude. That's really annoying. I'm really annoyed by that. I just fell right off the ledge. If the government doesn't get their $400,000 back, money that I shouldn't even have to pay in the first place because it's an absurd amount, is way higher than it should be, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep at night because, well, really, it's loan companies that are taking that. Yeah, technically it's a government student loan, but the government passes the debts off to private companies. Private companies have been suing the government over those loans because they aren't getting the interest that they expected to get from those loans because the government is canceling the loans. So those companies are just like, it's getting zeroed out. Debts don't exist. So they're just kind of removing it. And the companies are unhappy about that because they're not making money off of people's backs. I'm not even joking. Anyway, it's just absurd. Everything about it is absurd. The whole system is absurd. And I'm not going to cry myself to sleep if the system starts to fall apart. The student loan system and all of that other junk. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep at night if these loan companies don't get their money or whatever. Aside from all of that, again, we need to change it so that it's much cheaper to go to college. Seriously, this is a problem now. We need to change it.
Rick, it sure looks like to me they're just buying votes.
By doing things that voters like, you're buying votes, right? Yeah. Wow, how dare they do something that's beneficial for voters, that voters can appreciate? Those sick, depraved bastards.
It's worse than a payoff, man. I mean, they literally are paying people off, but it's worse than that because they're stealing from you to go.
Right.
They're literally not. They're literally not paying people off. Oh my God, dude.
Off, man. I mean, they literally are paying people off, but it's worse than that because they're stealing from you to go pay them off. In other words, they're not paying them off with their money. They're not buying a vote with their own money. They're buying votes with my money and with your money. Nothing's being forgiven. It's being really transferred to the rest of us.
No, it's being forgiven. But either way, like I said, none of this garbage matters. We need to fix the system that caused student loan debt to be this high. I want it to be locked at 5% of median salary. College cannot cost more than 5% of median salary. In my opinion, that's what it should be. And the government should subsidize any other costs. They subsidize the oil industry. They subsidize the insurance industry. They can subsidize college students too.
That actually pay taxes. So, yeah, it's evil and it's wrong. And you know, I got to say on this mirage that's being created, the problem is that a mirage does work for a certain amount of time. Like, they can tell all of these lies and they can smile at each other on these shows. As Lance said, they're being paid literally to be the SEALs. And
these people are talking about being paid to be SEALs. As they're SEALs, they're acting like SEALs.
Are digging the pit. But here's the thing. The other side has to articulate and point out why they're so wrong, why they're so evil, why the stuff that's going on is bad for your family. And that's where the Republicans have failed miserably at articulating the message. And I'll just go back to the abortion issue. If you've got 210, I think that's the whole caucus. Maybe there's a couple of Democrats that didn't vote for this. But if you got the vast majority, almost all of the Democrat caucus in Washington, D.C., the people that represent not only people in America, but really the Democrat Party in America, saying that we should let a baby die that has been born and is on the table.
Again, like, I have no clue what he's going on about right now. He's I don't see how it's not obvious to everybody that he's just propagandizing and creating this or telling this fictitious scenario, or at least borderline fictitious, or at least fictitious the way that he's telling it, this fictitious scenario to try to get people emotionally invested in what's happening. That's propaganda.
We should be talking about that in every one of those congressional districts and changing hearts and minds with that. We have to articulate it. So the big picture of life, you want a president that's going to say, I want to outlaw abortions. You want to get rid of all abortions. You have to do the hard work in every one of these congressional districts to articulate why pro-life is good and murdering a baby on the table is bad.
That is not what's happening. My God, dude. Okay, murdering a baby on the table. What is he going on about? Is he saying, is he talking about post-birth abortion right now? That's not real. Does he know that? Does he know that post-birth abortion is fictitious? He certainly does, right? Nobody is in favor of post-birth abortion. That is literally just murder.
And go win the hearts and minds. We have a window of opportunity here to show just how radical, as Dutch was saying, how seared the conscience is of these Democrats, point out how bad that is and how good it would be to elect a new person to Congress that actually wants your baby to live and not murder your baby. I mean, that should be a clear distinction that we should be able to win those races and over time outlaw abortion in this country.
Yeah, well said, well said. Let me show you the other side of that whole argument. Attorney General Andrew Bailey said,
wait, why did he go back to abortion? Didn't we move on to a different subject already? What the hell were they talking about? Oh, we're talking about student loan debt. Why is he going on about abortion again? Is it because he wasn't paying any attention and he has no idea what they were talking about? So he decided to just go off on like some random subject?
Says, I'm leading a 7-state coalition filing a suit against the Biden administration's latest illegal student loan plan. That's what we haven't emphasized. This whole thing is illegal. Congress never gave
Totally. It's super illegal.
Joe Biden the authority to saddle working Americans with $500 billion in other people's debt.
Yeah, they did. They literally did. Congress gave the president the ability to cancel certain debts during certain situations, periods of crisis or some other, I don't even remember what it is now. They literally did in the Constitution.
He doesn't have that authority. So
that's right.
Maybe he's not even, maybe they know this. I'm sure they do. But maybe they know it won't get anywhere. But if it gets you to believe it and you not watch the news, right, and watch the news enough to hear it.
The Supreme Court already ruled on this. We already know that it's right. The Supreme Court.
Well, the Supreme Court ruled that Biden can't en masse cancel all student debts without getting specific, basically, without canceling specific debts. So Biden decided to cancel specific types of student debt, and he just cancel. That is outlined pretty clearly in the Constitution, that he's allowed to cancel certain types of debts. Jesus, dude.
The Court's already slapped him down once for this, but they're just completely ignoring the Supreme Court decision.
They're not ignoring the Supreme Court decision. This is a totally different situation.
They keep talking it so that you'll believe it.
That's right.
But you know what? what Rick Green just said, he said they're completely ignoring the Supreme Court. That's not what's happening here. The Supreme Court's decision was respected, even though it was ridiculous. It was, they accepted it. The Biden administration accepted the Supreme Court's decision. I always get these reversed. I always forget which direction. I think it's this way. The fact that I think it's this way makes me think it's the other way. It is. It is the other way. Oh my God, dude. I'm so bad at this. Anyway, the fact that Rick Green said that the Biden administration is ignoring the Supreme Court's decision, even though they're not, is going to be used as a justification for ignoring the Supreme Court for Republicans in the future. Wait and see. Mark my words. Take note of it. Write it down. It's going to happen. Eventually, when Donald Trump completely ignores the Supreme Court, they're going to use this situation as a justification for ignoring the Supreme Court, even though that's not what's happening.
And then vote for us because you got student loan debt. They're counting on you not being educated in all this. All right, so let's wrap this.
This is a joke. They're counting on you not being educated, he says, as he condemns education and tries to make it harder to get an education. This is like absurd. The absurdity is off the charts of these people.
This up before the break. Dutch, I want you to comment if you have a comment, and then let's pray over this, that those things be revealed that need to be revealed. Eyes are open in Jesus' name.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, let me just pray. I mean, I would just...
Oh, I guess he's going to say closing prayer. Okay, great.
Agree with what everyone has said, Gene. Father, we thank...
No, wait. Knock me over with a feather. Really? You're going to agree with what everybody said? Wow. I didn't see that coming.
Thank you for what you are doing. You are exposing the works of the enemy. You told us to pray that way. You told us to ask for your kingdom to come, your will to be done. You asked us to pray against evil and that it would be exposed, and we do that now, Lord. We say uncover.
Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear. If you're listening closely, you might hear Gene Bailey in the background going, yes, that's right. Thank you, Lord. He's like whispering it. Don't do that. It's really annoying. Just mute your microphone. If you are like doing an interview, conducting an interview, or if somebody else is praying or whatever, shut the up so that they can just say it. It's super distracting to people when you're in the background saying random stuff. Yes, that's right.
Uncover.
That's right.
Uncover. Lift.
Shut up, guys, please. Oh my God. Let him say the damn prayer.
You asked us to pray against evil and that it would be exposed, and we do that now, Lord. We say uncover. Uncover, uncover, lift the veil of deception off of this nation. Lord, you sent a dream. We talked about it on a post recently where we stood at the Capitol and we decreed that a seeing anointing would come upon the American people and that the darkness would be lifted, the deception would be broken, and they would see.
And you can see Hank Kunneman's pretending to speak in tongues on this.
The darkness would be lifted, the deception would be broken, and
he's pretending to speak in tongues. This is absurd. These people are the biggest jokes on planet Earth. Damn near it. Donald Trump is a pretty big joke, honestly. Didn't Donald Trump, arrive at one of his rallies in a military helicopter or military airplane or something one time when he was the president, I think? And at the rally, he played Fortunate Son, the song Fortunate Son. It's beyond satire now. How do you satirize this? How do you make a joke out of what's happening? Fortunate Son is a song by Creedence Clearwater Revival about rich people sending poor people to war and not giving a shit about their lives, just letting them die and pretending that they have bone spurs, for example, getting doctors to write notes for them so that they can opt out of the Vietnam War. Everyone else getting drafted, they can't get a doctor's note saying they got bone spurs the way that Donald Trump actually did, so he didn't have to go to Vietnam. Trump was drafted and got out of it. You know, maybe he would have benefited from military service. Maybe that would have knocked him down a peg, and his arrogance and self-centeredness wouldn't have been as extreme as it is. I don't know.
They would see.
You know, maybe it would have made Trump worse to be in the military. I'm not sure.
Darkness would be lifted, the deception would be broken, and they would see things as they are. You are doing that. You've said you're going to continue to do it. We decree it again. We say, Lord, lift the veil of darkness, lift the veil of deception, show the American people what is really happening.
I'm kind of proud of what I just did. You guys may not have seen that, but I just parried an arrow when he's right on top of me. That's crazy. That is really hard to do. I got it.
And give us the breakthrough, the exposure, the light, the revelation.
These people keep talking about exposure. I thought they were fighting that. Aren't these guys QAnoners? I assumed that these guys would be opposed to people exposing things.
The uncovering of evil. Give us these things. You said you're going to. We ask in faith. We know it's going to happen. We decree it to be so in Jesus' name. The Lord, give favor to those who are willing to speak truth. Give favor to those who are willing to uncover. Give favor to those who will be bold enough, who will be brave enough to speak the truth. We ask you for this in the name of Jesus. And Lord, let it start in the churches.
Amen.
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 God, these people are insane. That was an insane thing to pray. Jesus, dude. These people need help for real. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. This is nuts.